Teardown time. This is a digital tire pressure gauge. You press the tire valve into the end here, and as you imagine, it has a reading of the tire pressure. This is going to be an interesting MEMS-based device in there, I suspect, so it'll be a fun teardown. So take the case apart and we can see what's inside of it. There's a little gadget here which converts the air pressure from the tire. It seals against the board here and seals up this little silver can. Let's start the journey there and see what is hiding in that metal container. The first stop was at my table saw. I just put down a piece of sandpaper and sanded the top of the lid off just to the point where the top is starting to fatigue at the sidewalls. Then if you press it down onto some just double-sided tape there and give a bit of a yank, you can actually then expose the can. If we look at the can's photograph, we can see what appears to be a small quartz cube sitting in the center there. Let's go to the microscope. I took a series of photographs. Because it's a fairly thick item, you have to do something called pulling focus. But the first photograph basically is showing the contact pads here, a 4-pin device. And if we slowly change the focus of the microscope to the top of the quartz cube, we can see all the hints we need to figure out what we're looking at. Here we go. Let's just zoom it a bit more and secrets start to get exposed. You can see the bond wires coming in, and then it's going to some metal which is plated onto this transparent, probably piezoelectric element. Then there is going to be a piezo-resistive element here. They're transparent, so that's why they don't really show up on the photograph. Okay, so here's a good diagram. It's probably representative of what we have. They have a doped piezo resistor here, a very thin piece, and you get elements on 4 corners, so you're definitely looking at a bridge type device. As you deform the element, it produces different voltages, and of course that can be converted to pressure. One side of that quartz cube is going to be a fixed pressure, probably a vacuum or something like that, and as the pressure from the tire pushes down upon the diaphragm, you get a basically different voltage. All analog, of course, but that can be carried down into another integrated circuit. Let's come back to the circuit board to figure what's going on next. Obviously, it has to be an inexpensive assembly. I got this off AliExpress for like $4. The sensor comes down to a single integrated circuit on the assembly. You can see there's not much else going on. There's just some inexpensive capacitors for decoupling. A single resistor probably associated with this push button, which allows you to turn the thing on. So we're going to be seeing a very low cost bit of silicon. The other thing we can see is the word cal for calibration, telling me that this has the ability to be calibrated in the factory, and that's how the precision is achieved. The next photograph is the integrated circuit. The first thing you can draw your eye to up here is the maker's mark. That quickly tells us what we're looking at. A company called SDIC. They are a Chinese company. Part number is ICO813B. Doesn't track to any datasheet on their website. However, if this is starting to feel very familiar to you, if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you would recognize about 4 videos ago I did a teardown of a multimeter. Inside of it was another die from this company, SDIC. Perhaps no surprise whether you're doing a multimeter or a tire pressure gauge, they all have very similar building blocks to them. Now, this integrated circuit is different than the one in the multimeter, but all the blocks inside of it are very similar. If you look at a typical data sheet from this company, they base everything around an 8-bit processor. Everything has around 100 to 200 bytes of memory. Programmability varies from 2 to about 32 kilobytes. For A to D, they seem to very much favor a sigma delta topology coming this way. You're going to have the sensor over here. It's basically a bridge type structure, and it's going to create voltages which can go into the assembly. So we're going to be able to see an A to D converter. We're going to see a digital section with a processor core. This one says LED driver, but of course we have an LCD version. Other interesting thing is you can see there is no crystal on the actual circuit board. That means the oscillator is internal in the die. We're going to find that here. It runs in 2 modes, either 32 kilohertz for low power mode or 4 megahertz. Let's pop back to the photograph of the die now that we've got the block diagram in our mind. So we're back to the die photograph, always colorful. Center section here is the 8-bit processor laid out in this portion, probably in about 180 nanometer process from TSMC. You can see a small RAM up here. This is hundreds of bytes of RAM. This is only probably a couple kilobytes of program, maybe 8 kilobytes. This is definitely one of the smaller dies from the company. Not a surprise because it has a single function. This is a sigma delta converter here. We can see the poly resistor, precision resistor here. We can see some capacitors here, which is part of a sample and hold circuit. You basically want to sample the voltage before you convert it. The other interesting thing, quite frankly, is the oscillator. I believe it hides down here, the on-die oscillator. Let's just pop over to some much more zoomed-in photographs. So here's a zoomed-in section of the die, and it's got a couple things that just kind of draw my attention to it. These are polysilicon resistors, and then just above it is an array of really strange-looking squiggles. I suspect this is a metal insulator metal capacitor. The MIM capacitor has a good advantage that its temperature coefficient is fairly stable for a wide variety of temperatures. If you had to create an on-die oscillator, of course, you have to build it around some sort of a timing element, and a capacitive one certainly is a good possibility. Now, to confirm my suspicions, actually, I tried some AI tools. AI is all the rage, as you might imagine. This comes from Grok, actually. I asked Grok to annotate my silicon die, and it came up with this. Also seemed to confirm what I suspect is a capacitor. If it's wrong, it's certainly convincingly wrong. That's the problem with AI, but it kind of suggests that this is a MIM. And I see the same structure on the other multimeter integrated circuit, and both don't require an external crystal. So an interesting circuit on this die. If for some crazy reason you're desirous of getting your own, I got mine off AliExpress, as one might imagine. In terms of performance, it was quite credible. I compared it against my old spring gauge, which I've had for decades. This one is more precise. It can take fractional readings quite easily. Whether or not this is of any advantage or not, I'm not sure. Certainly, it matched the readings I get from my traditional gauge, so you do get a slightly more precise reading, I suppose, with these digital gadgets, but I do like my old one because, quite frankly, it's a spring and a sliding bit of plastic, and it's lasted decades and works just fine. So I hope you liked this video. If so, I would certainly appreciate a thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm for the video to be shown to more viewers. And I'll catch you on the next one.